good afternoon, good morning, good evening. Thank you for joining. And if you have been attending our webinars, you know the regular. Please do introduce yourself in the chat. Just your name and where you're from. That means I know you're there, so that because you do know we have a points and reward system that's behind the scenes. But most importantly, it's good to know who's there, and then I could make the topic slightly more relevant for you. So just introduce yourself. It's very, very friendly group, as you know. Good to see Jen. Hi, Rick. And for all those who will be joining the recording, I know the timing is not suitable, especially the colleagues from Asia Pacific and most of Asia, and also the Californian regions are super upset. The good news is our new AI workshops are now targeted towards each of the geographies. So I'll be able to get your love back in the workshops, but ongoing webinars and masterclasses tend to be around this time. So thank you for joining, and let's begin. So even before I start, you know, our series used to be AI-powered webinars. And thanks, Matt. Thanks to see you. Hi, Sami. Good to see you. But now, it's a very interesting word. One of our students suggested, actually, one of our current students who's doing the bidding bootcamp suggested, hey, why can't we call it as AI-empowered bidder versus AI-powered bidder? That kind of triggered a thought in me. And what do you think? Add in the chat box. Keep it exciting. Do you want to be called AI-powered bidder or AI-empowered bidder? Just to keep the thoughts going. And today we are going to look into writing, right? So let's begin. So what do we have? Just put your thoughts in. Again, if you are new to our webinar series, it's slightly advanced our content because we don't repeat what we discussed in the past. And the content has been building all the way from March, as you know. And most of, or at least half of the content, it's available within our YouTube channel, including the yesterday's webinar on AI data governance privacy masterclass, which we have to dilute. It was very technical, but we removed the jargon and simplified it for you. So who preferred? Oh, interesting. You all like the word empowered. So we'll rebrand AI-powered series into AI-empowered series. Leave it with us for a week and we will rebrand it. So all these are here. Gradually, week by week, we have been building content. And if you're already attended our boot camps, you might be slightly more accelerated than most of them. Proposal mastery, the 4-day intense workshops, again, is following the same thing. But every other thing, whether it's a monthly webinars that we do on Ask Me AI tools, or masterclasses that we're doing. We are doing 3 masterclasses, one yesterday, one today, and the next week is graphics. After that, we have a big, intense schedule of 35 boot camps and 35 workshops around these themes, including 2 nuances which you are building up. So pretty much 35 sessions, nearly 500 hours of content. It's all coming up in just between July and all the way to December, very busy. So simply follow us on YouTube. That's where lots of content happens, and LinkedIn, absolute must if you haven't. And AI Scoop is becoming a very popular thing. I think every day there are at least 20, 25 people who are registering to that. That's it. If you haven't registered to AI Scoop, that kind of summarizes everything. How many of you attended yesterday's AI data governance class? We simplified it, but if you attended, put it in the chat, because this slide, I shared it there. It kind of nicely sets the scene for, yes, pandemic is long gone. I know 2019, 2021 washout for most of us. Then the Great Resignation happened. As in, if there is a poll, within the YouTube channel, if you go and you watch it, we did a poll. And, in the poll, will you stay or will you move? That's a poll. We took a poll of 912 proposal professionals. So the Great Resignation was real. Industry colleagues who were between 50-ish all the way into 60, 80% of them, thank you, Sumaya, welcome. 80% of them actually have resigned because so the industry is now pretty much, new people are coming in, which is okay. So that adds a lots of pressure between people in an age group of 30, 35, all the way to 45, 50. Because people are above the age 50 to 60, 65 have decided to take it slow, and then most of them quit. And that's it. So then the great rehire happened, which is currently happening. Doesn't matter whether you like bidding or not. You like writing, go for it. You don't like writing, doesn't matter. Just come in, just experiment how writing works. And now, the hiring is happening at every forms. Before it used to be very specific, but now it's like, I just want a resource. It's a constraint. And AI came in between, and now we are in the great realization phase, which means we are reflecting, thinking more. That's what I covered here, even though part of the data, which is just, there's also behavioral shift that's been happening in the way that we do our own things, in the way we prioritize our life, etc. So we are living through a time of realization and reevaluation. That's what I landed yesterday, part of the data, day before, part of the data. But it has been a theme all the way in April as well, April AMA session, where people used to put AI versus human kind of a thing. It's the weakest way of looking, and people still look into that. But that we are looking here is the great LLMization, which is the great large language modelization. That's where we're going to look. So it's going to be course correction for most of us between now, but like it or not, things are going to be here. And that's why the word AI assisted, AI empowered, AI powered, all things come to picture, because you all will be gradually entering in this journey. Some of you have already done it. Some of you might not have been doing. That's the whole point of all this webinar series. So welcome. So let's continue. What's next? So AI-powered writer. Again, part of the AMA sessions, we have a lot of Q&A. And many people, if they don't want to answer the question, they send me a LinkedIn message, or they send me a WhatsApp message, or they send me an email. Or they send it to hello@baachu.com, which is our general portal, and say, hey, what can we do? Because if you look at the bootcamp is structured for bidders, so it talks all the way from pre-proposal development, and it looks into how do you pull up, customer research, competitor research, and research about your market, and it like capture strategy, capture planning, how to build executive summary, value proposition, then how can you shred the document, RFP shredding, how can you use tools, AI tools, how can you just use ChatGPT and Bar to do it, or how can you just now do a general proposal response, how can you build solutions, then how can you do proposal editing, proposal reviews, and it just moves on and moves on. And there are traditional writers who are like, you know what, I don't do all those stuff. I only do writing. Is there anything that you could create just for writers? Well done. Okay, let's do it. So as you can see, it's still AI powered. We will rebrand it, AI empowered. We'll rebrand it, but that's where the thought came up. Again, you dictated and we created. As we always say, we learn from you. So, and what I'll show today is an important framework that we use part of this. Obviously, the AI-powered writer is a one-day workshop. It's scattered across all different zones, from India to Africa to Asia Pacific, to East Asia specifically, and then also to this way to the US, Californian side, and UK and Europe. So segmented all the way simple, between $95 all the way into $295. That's it. In some cases it could be $495 depending on your geography, but that's it. $495 to get this. But what I want to share here is a masterclass. Take some principles, key principles, because I know you will be in this journey in different levels. But even before you come to us, I just want you to start to embrace it. So let's go. That's a short poll. Because obviously I would like to know what's happening. So what are your current thoughts and relationship between AI and writers, and in the evolving landscape, where do you see yourself? Because we always ask this question. And finally, there will also be questions about how many proposals do you actually do a week? Let's open the poll and let's go for it. This is an anonymous poll. Obviously, there are a lot more people here. And let's take the poll. What are your thoughts on the relationship between AI and writers? Are you falling in the trap and believing that AI will completely replace human writers? Option one. AI will assist me, but I can't fully replace it, but it can't fully replace the human touch in writing. AI and writers will collaborate, enhancing the overall writing process. AI is just a tool. Writers will always hold the pen of creativity, So are you the left wing? Or are you the right wing? Are you somewhere in between? Where are you? And let's see. So, and also in the evolving AI writing, because this is where I'm excited about, because you are starting as a traditionalist and you're moving into a different zone here, right? And you all are in a different zone. How many of you are maybe at the totally like me, all for AI? And how many of you are just getting there? And how many of you are actually starting? This is it, right? When we started the poll way back in March, we had even then, there were people who are scared, because I was the only one who was telling about this initially, and then gradually others joined in, but it was much more sponsored webinars and other things came into existence. But it's there, it's nice. So I'll give you another minute or two. Just go for it. And it's a very friendly community, and it's important for me to get a note of who's who and where and what the thought process is. At the moment, it looks like most of you are, nobody is actually in the thought process of it's going to replace you, and everybody has pretty much 90% have said you are going to collaborate with AI, and some are curious about AI, some are working in partnership, that's what they see, the relationship between AI and them, and others are like it's a game changer. Yeah, that's it. So it's good, very good. So we have crossed that main barrier, and we are starting to climb the mountain now. We are starting the trek in a positive note. That's good, because the lost bidders on the beach story, which I shared in March, meant that you are actually not being taken away by the tsunami. You are in a safe place, So, but some people are exploring a lot more, and I'm glad that you are doing it. So regarding the proposals, this has always been tricky. Oh, I'm shocked to see that some of you are actually doing 6 to 10 proposals a month. My crikey, that's like 2 a week, 2 to 3 a week. And then some do 3 to 4, which could be like 1 a week. And then, my God, I don't know who's this angel is. I really want to fall on your leg. My God, you are doing more than 10 proposals. So roughly this trend is there. So I'll just put the poll up and share the results. Just have a look, because this is you. This is you. Where are you, what you're doing, and so. So again, this journey will always be continuing. And what's more excited is, when we did the AI, who's in the AI waiting list for our program, even without telling them what we are going to teach, we had like 31 in the first month, and now we have nearly 1,400 or something, right? It's just it's just increasing by the week, so that's good. So oh yeah, totally, I'm 100%. The collaboration is, in my case, it has given me a lot of confidence, because where writing is tricky, right? When you write something expecting this is what you want the readers to understand what you've written, you might be writing it in that point of view. But surprisingly, the end person who's got the email might react totally different to what's the outcome you want him or her to react. How many of you have actually had that experience? And sometimes it might be happening to you as well. Somebody sent you an email, somebody sent you a text, or somebody sent you something, and then you just read it as a face value, then you assume this is what the content is, and you start to respond. But today, the two-way communication, you could confirm, hey, I've written this. This is the message, I want to share it to this team. This is the message, I want to share it in part of the kickoff, etc. Can you refine? Can you confirm? Can you say, is it okay in this way? And also be empathetic, even though it is empathetic because people are all working from home. It's a very hot weather. They all are doing what they're doing. Can you write the same thing in a much more empathetic, friendly way? In the past, it's tough. Today, it's just in like less than 30 seconds, which means you get a lot of lovely messages from people, which is like, because they thought that I took time to, yes, I 100% took time, because I see your message and I do that. And any email, any written part, that's what we do. And today, what I'll share is how you can bring that to the proposal. So that's it. So thank you. So let's continue. What else? So this is the place, right? This is where we are all. The traditional wordsmiths are still in the zone, which is like, I'm going to continue to craft in the old-fashioned way without the assistance of AI tools. Good. Do it in the hard way. Do it in the hard way, and then tell you are undervalued, you are overworking, etc. You can't help everybody, right? Some people are going to be drowned, as you call it, in the lost bidders on the beach. It's fine, it's okay, But what these people need to know is, very quickly you could understand, what makes you an amazing wordsmith. You can actually teach AI. You could actually teach, hey, you know what? When I write this, I am going to use the Oxford commas. I'm going to use the GPA, which is the standard, or I'm going to use the Chicago style writing, different writing. This is my style. Now, go and write it in my style. It writes it for you, then you mean you are still a wordsmith, but this case, you're somebody writing in your own style. This is what these people are missing. So it's not like you want, all it takes is, it just writes it in its own way. AI writes in its own way, but when you assist it, when you tell it, this is the format, this is the style, this is the branding that you want to write, it will do it. Then which meant you can now do a lot more, right? That's your classic scribers. I still love you, and we all love you. Try to join the rest of us in this journey, and I'm sure most of you will be, some of you will be on the recording, and you are still on this zone. The curious explorers, I know out of like 15% of you are currently in this. We call you the AI assisted writers, which means, you are sparingly using it, but you are getting there. You are starting to understand the potential. The confident innovators are like, you are my trusted companion, because I don't feel lonely anymore. I just come and I could now discuss, hey, this is what I want to do today. This is what I need to send to my subject matter expert. This is what I want to talk in my team calls. This is how I want to structure my slide. This is what I would want to do, proposals, anything. Today, I'm not on my own, right? Because I am AI enhanced, right? You are embraced AI. You assisted, you moved to embraced. You're consistently aiding it to craft better, more effective proposals. This is what it's all about. And none of you are classic scribers. None of you are traditional words, which is good. And that's 15% on curious, nearly 40% on this, and 40% on the balance at the top end. You are all AI empowered. Excited. You are AI empowered. And we'll give you the batch. You are AI empowered. The due course. We are creating it. So again, how much of this can you relate to? When you the future of proposal writing, it's all, I don't think I need to actually go back into it. We have been doing it anyway for 4 months, but in very simplest form, right? AI is always there for you, 24/7. So that's one, which means you are no more lonely. It's because in Baachu, when we restructured recently, there are only 2 focus for us. One is AI, second one is self-care. How we can use, and the both are connected pretty tightly. Because how can I let go of some things which I don't want to do? In the past, I couldn't delegate. Today, I can delegate to AI, right? So in the boot camp, the very first thing that we do is what we call an activity inventory. List down all the stuff that you don't like to do. List down all the stuff that you're currently doing that you are like, I wish I can pass this someone. And list, I have to think that you really want to do. Then we just say, okay, part of the boot camp, how can you use AI to let go of some of the things, pass on to AI, and also manage some of the things that you're currently doing, which you can't let go, but at the same time, you can use AI to at least streamline it. And a lot of stuff that you want to do now with AI, let's do it, so because you got the time, that's it. Expansive knowledge, we always say AI is your swipe file. You don't need to know. You don't need to have certifications. You don't need to have put a tick in the thing. Just to say you know it. The very, our students, you can ask questions. Hey, what is the framework? What are suggest some of the frameworks that marketers use, advertisers use, copywriters use in solutioning? That's it. It will tell you 4 or 5 frameworks. You can just learn it now. whatever the framework that ticks a box for you, you can just apply that framework. Because why? Because in the past, you go and complete a certification, you come back and you still do it in the same way. Because, and personally, in the boot camp, we don't touch any of the current best practices at all in our boot camp, because people think, oh, everybody's going to write in the same way, good luck to you, because you haven't done anything. You just scratch the surface and you just come up with all these comments. Expansive knowledge is super important, because today, whatever the Harvard's best way of managing people, to the what do you call Wharton School of Businesses, how to run a business, tips, startup funding, etc., you can now get that expansive knowledge. What that meant is, you are going to find a lot of people who won't be posting in LinkedIn and others, I've got this certificate, I got that certificate, extra, because it won't mean anything. Because you just have to learn something and you can just utilize this. Again, that's where it's powerful. And as I mentioned, we do have the situation where we go for holidays, we just need to refresh our batteries, as they call it. And then there are some breaks that we do. If you're a parent, that then school holidays, half terms comes in, then you just take travel breaks. Then if you are a new family, obviously pregnancy and related stuff. But in this case, I've posted 5 articles on something very personal to me, which you might find it later. My wife is having problem with the menstrual cycle, which means the middle-aged women, the challenges that she faces. So I wrote a 5-part article around it, my journey on. But what is all these things are happening. So you are writing, doing all these things, and your work meant now you have a consistent comrade, time-saving, flexible friend. That's the whole point. And the underlying principle is we all always have a starting point on issue on writer's block. Where do I start? How am I going to take things forward? Right? Today, all these things are coming in. I'm not selling it. So this is for leaders, but I always consider anybody as a leader. It doesn't matter what your title is, right? So this is the current, not the current. If you're a traditionalist, if you're still doing this sort of things, you really have to change. I'm calling it back then, because it's already moved on. This is how companies who still do things operate. So what happens is you just spend little time on strategy, and you spend little time on the research is nothing but your capture, which is like, which market do I have to play, and do I have chosen the top 10 clients I want to work with? And then, okay, in the top 10 clients, how much do I know about them before I even chose to bid? Doesn't matter. All I'm going to do is bid. So you're just simply writing. You're going to get a lot of people to write. If you don't have enough people in the company, you just go for external people and you write. And then you just have very little time to edit, or just have some time to edit. Then you just distribute. But the focus is you write. How many of you can relate to this? Anybody? Okay, you can also disagree with me. It depends on your company. It's like I'm not going to take it personal, because the world was already like this, right? To a certain extent, I don't know. Or my personal experience, maybe, I don't know. You can just go for it. So what that meant is, there's a course correction, which reevaluation as you're talking about. So March 2023 onwards, editing. If somebody says that you are editing, that's a dead word. Anybody who call themselves editors, you lost. You need to call yourself optimizer or optimizing, because if you are, AI is there to optimize it for you, right? AI is there for editing, So, and that's the whole point. So primarily, with writing now, because it's AI empowered, as we call it, it gives you more time to do pre-proposal, and it also gives you more time to refine, adapt, bring some character to your proposal. What that meant is, it also means that you could do a lot more bids now than what we used to do, because this is not like I didn't come out with all these fancy graphs. It's because we have done, when we launched this, when in March, we already did 12 bids through AI. And between March and June, AMA, we did 20 bids. But now we are doing 4 to 5 a week, right? We are doing 20 a month, right? So, and this is what we see, which means our writing time has drastically reduced. Our optimizing time, or how we can fine tune it to make it better, has increased. And also the way that you can actually think, solutionize it is drastically improved, which means I, as a person, have elevated myself, not just churning proposals, but I'm strategically adding value to the company. So this is how AI has empowered me and most of the people, the students that we work with, move from undervalued, overworking people into now strategic, happy, fulfilling people, because it's there for you and you just need to absorb it, right? So this is how this is how it's adopted. Now, the the team structures is used to be like this as well. You have a lot of people called sales directors, strategy directors, market directors, etc. Then you have mid-level people, bid managers, proposal managers, etc. Then you have writers. In some cases, you have writers, stroke editors. Then you have publishers or designers. You call it. That is how the world was before, right? Today, it's all changed. Obviously, this after the introductory courses that we did proposal prompt engineering, then we do advanced proposal prompt engineering, etc. What it meant is today the structure is very different. So what you find here is your editors have changed to optimizers, So what it meant is, and your same person is doing it, what it meant is it has also enabled the writers to elevate to be managers, the managers to elevate into strategists, right? Whoever is using AI strategically, it has enabled people to go on it, right? Then what it meant is the way you do proposals now is optimized better, because today, in the past, you might collect all this great information about capture, but not necessarily it might be feeding it. But today, in a split of a second, or maybe in 1 minute, you could say, hey, use all this information about the customer and rewrite this particular response to this document so that it encapsulates all this information. That one instruction means that all these things are optimized in 1 minute. In the past, you have to do it, you have to shade it, you have to look for word counts, you have to do it, etc. Right? So optimizers or prompt engineers, are now going to be the people who will be much, much more respected in the market going forward. And you all are there. If you have clicked to be AI assisted, AI embraced, or AI enabled, for third one, or now AI empowered, that's where your zone is, which means you can have a choice to move up in a much more strategic way than others, right? Did you get it? Did you understand what I just meant? Yeah. So, from here, then you could take your process and you could just make it into AI optimized process. So the old way of looking 64 steps, 94 steps, and X, Y, Z, etc. is all doomed and dead. It's if you sit and do that now, the speed, everybody knows you can do things faster, which means how much of this you have to work it through. First, you need to help yourself to understand how much of this in each of those stages that you could help yourself, and with the AI just help you. And gradually, when you have done it, then as a team, you can work through what are the general use cases that we found out yesterday in the AI data workshop, that use cases that you can rely on AI on, that becomes your process, which means your AI process use cases are this, your manual process use cases are this, or human process use cases are this. Collectively, this is how your AI optimized big development looks like, right? Many companies are starting to look into that, regardless of the privacy, confidentiality, and all the generic issues that people are going through. Right now, the reason I've structured all these things even before I started this is just to help you to seed in. The speed will be of the essence for you, because the general perception is whether you are using AI, whether you're not using AI, your boss and your team and your overall industry will expect you to use it, which means they would want you to do more. No, that's the word. So we also did a calculation. I'm not going to go deeper on that, but primarily, for example, if somebody charges $100 a day and him or her is working 8 hours a week, that's $800 a day that they are going to do. So if him or her does one piece of article or one response, so 2,500 word response in that one day, it's going to take them one day to deliver, which is $800. Whereas AI optimized or AI empowered proposals can actually do that. I'm making it very, very conservative here, which is 2 hours. It can actually do a lot simpler than that. So 2 hours, and the editing, human editor might take 2 to 3 hours. It might take longer. I assume, it's just like it might take longer, but just 2 hours, whereas AI editor writers, I won't even call us AI writers, AI optimizers, check 1 hour. With the same cost, $100 an hour, what you are going to find here is, if you do it properly, you can do it faster at 1/3 of the cost. Again, I'm being very, very conservative here, because the reason is, in human, when you set up the pattern once, you have to create the pattern all the time. For example, if the question asks you to do, can you write your past, you say you are bidding to provide a particular service, and if that service is broken down into 5 or 6 small parts, for each of those 5 or 6 small parts in the past, you just need to go back and approach it in the same way. Whereas in the AI world, all you need to do is just to create that initial structure for the first part, and then you simply need to add whatever the services that are going to the particular part, the entire structure of how the response is going to come, because AI already knows it, it's going to do it quicker. So the editing part and the refining part becomes much, much simpler if you set up this first. So this is what's happening already. Right, this is the very, very first webinar which we did with exactly the same thing. But it's at the point we shared it with 12 bids, but today it's, I don't know, it's crossed nearly 60 bids, so that's it, keep it in mind. So this is what you're expected, not on high level. You decide yourself. If you have used AI, you can now see, I just want you to benchmark yourself, start to see how many of the time, how many of the effort that you're actually doing it. That's where you are moving away from human powered into AI empowered. So from now on, just need to be very, very attentive. So welcome to the Baachu Craft Framework. This is the AI framework that we talk about. So please do keep in mind. So our students know this, but for Masterclass, it will be the first time that we're revealing it. So the craft framework was designed to be concise, straightforward, and it needs to be easy to understand. That's the spec that we gave, and it needs to outline the content creation from start to end in a very simple way. So craft, C stands for conceptualize, because this is where you need to bring everything in one place. What you already know about the customer, competitor, your company, and what's the style that you're going to incorporate, and what are the building blocks of your responses, etc. You need to make it already. That's your C, conceptualize, keep it already. Rough draft, you create what you call the baseline draft, then you amplify it. Amplification is important, because this is again is something that we do, because you cannot jump into a solution. You cannot state a problem, and you cannot jump into solution. You need to amplify the pain. That's what you do there, because it's much easy. The customer might think that him or her, they have a problem, but how deep is the problem? You just need to make them feel. That's what you're doing it here, very, very unique. And then you refine. Then you fact check, because obviously if you're relying on AI, you do fact checks. In this case, what do I mean by fact checks, which I'll continue in 1 or 2 steps, is fact check is actually, you are creating some fictitious details. The reason for that is not always you have past performance, not always you have testimonials, not always you have content, collateral around it. So simply you have to use AI to create what is the best response, the best case study, best testimonial, best past performance that I could write for this tender, share it up, give it to your people, and then say, I want you to either beat this up or at least tell me the client, or if not, we just need to at least mask this up to just say that this is what best looks like. This is it. This is how you can do. So you can't just copy paste whatever comes up in, but that's where you fact check and you visualize it and then you tailor it and engage. Let's go deeper. Conceptualize. Are you still with me? Let me know. Yeah. It's important. I know it's getting dense, but stay with me. Stay with me. Sorry. Yeah. So understand. So this is where, on the AI terms, you are generating your prompts. The prompts are just simple instructions. Don't overly think. If you don't know what a prompt is, you can simply ask ChatGPT or Google Bard and say, hey, I need to write a response to this, or I have a situation. What should I ask you? What should I ask you so that you are going to give me the most relevant response to me? It will tell me, okay, ask me this. That's your prompt. Use the same prompt. You don't need to, and because there is a prompt marketplace which is there, don't even go and buy the top 10 prompts for proposal people, top 10 prompts for marketers, etc. It's all dead. You could simply go back and ask ChatGPT or Bard and then say, hey, this is the question that I want to do. What is the best way to answer this question? What's the best way that you can extract information for me? So that's your problem. So you just need to bring all the information together so that you have a good understanding of what you're actually writing. Reason for that is once you set up things, it'll be much easier for you then to follow the same pattern, right? Then you create your first draft. As it says, you edit and amplify it. This is where you are removing any fluffs and you're doing it. In many cases, once you set it up, it will automatically start to fall in place. For example, I want this to have to be in 1000 words in 3 pages of A4, or I want to have this in X amount of characters, etc. You can do that, which means it does it. But the reason I only do that later is because every time you ask that, you need to let it to be creative. Don't constrain it straight away. Because when you constrain it straight away, you might not get the best output. You can constrain it a little bit later. But for now, you just need to make it free. Be creative, be strategic, be objective, be persuasive, be compelling. Whatever the words you do, use it and to get the right output. Now you can see how the same output for the different words are coming in. Then you can pick and choose. Then you could optimize. Then you can do, right? You can add visuals, and in the past it was very challenging to build graphics, but today we can build graphics. That's the next workshop. We have Masterclass next Wednesday. But what's been absolutely brilliant for me personally is I can now create, hey, this is the content that I've created. What graphic might go well with this content? Suggest me a graphic. Okay, good. You pick up the 3 or 4 graphic suggestions. Then now write a instruction, that specific step-by-step instruction to my graphic designer to create this graphic. Copy, send it, boom. Him or her does it. Down, chop down. Then you tailor and engage. When we say tailor and engage, I'll come back to it. This is where your storytelling comes in. Your story, because in solution development, we use something called the story brand framework. Just go and have a look. It's a good framework where it tells you a story. It tells you a story about, yes, it's all dense, but this is where you can bring everything. So let's break it down further, right? Conceptualize, we know this is what you're doing. This is where you're understanding proposal need, your client requirements and potential solution. You are generating what we call a naked prompt. What a naked prompt is, you're simply copy pasting the question. If they say, create your organization structure to deliver this service or something, or what is your policies and procedures, etc. Simply doing that, it extracts what we call the baseline content. Then you define the desired tone, style, and message. This is what the message to the traditionalist. If you have a style, this is where you let them know. If you don't have a style, ask it what are the best formal styles. I'm working in this particular industry. These are the type of bids that I do. What are the top styles, or what are the best styles that might suit for my industry? It will tell you this. Fine, use that style. Yes, use the style. This is where you also need to say, if you're not from the US, you have to mention, hey, use British English, use Australian English, use Canadian English, use Indian English. There is no Indian English, but you just need to tell because otherwise it will write it in whatever it thinks is the right one. Then you refine to get the answer, right? So a rough draft is fairly simple, but this is where you might need to get it based on what we're doing. Sometimes you can give a word limit here, but I don't. But this is where you can ask it to create on specific approaches. So solicit expert opinion. Sometimes you might need to go back. You have written the response, and you might need to go back and get it confirmed with your subject matter experts. You can also say, hey, I've done this first draft. I now need to have an interview with my SME to confirm this. What are the 5 questions that I need to ask to ensure that I get the best out of him? And at the same time, how can I ensure that I also have some outputs that I already have it, that I can share it with them, to get feedbacks and stuff. Then this is it. So primarily your rough draft could be with the SME input, without SME input. It's totally up to you. Amplify, this is where your storyboarding, your storyboarding is like, now you've got the base response, you added your SME response. Now you can either do it. Again, you don't need to do it in this particular order. You can do it, you can do the storyboarding before as well. End of the day, you're just amplifying the message here, right? You're doing any other information, you're double checking, you're refining, because you have got some fictitious information. Now you are refining all of these things, it comes in. And this is where it gets much interesting, where if you're much smarter, you can also use the evaluation criteria that the customer has given you, and you said, okay, this is the response that I've written. This is the evaluation criteria. How much do you think I've scored? Score. How much do you think I might score? Why do you think you gave me that score? What do you think I need to improve to get 5 out of 5 or 100 out of 100 or 30 out of 30 for the section? Just go, then you refine, right? That comes in. So again, we will do that in the one-day workshop with different use cases, but I'm just giving you the framework that you can start to apply within your company. So next one is you do the fact check. And again, you can do the fact check in previously, you can do the fact check here, but this is where you're adding graphics and related information, that you just do all these things and you finalize the draft for ready. At last, you tailor it. You bring it all together into one place, and then you optimize the content so that it has clarity, engagement, stories on the right place, and you format everything. So this, you are already doing it, but what you're doing consistently here is we are using AI to do this, so you're simplifying every single step with AI. That's the point. Now, this is AI. This is AI empowered writers framework to craft better content. So craft, conceptualize, rough draft, amplify and refine, fact check and visualize, tailor and engage. Is this useful? Right? What I would like you to do, I know personally a lot of you, so just your turn to apply the framework in your next proposal, right? Embrace AI and watch your proposal writing process transform for the better. Yeah, please help yourself. And if there is anything that you need, that you have doubt, let us know or let me know. More than happy to help you with that. So, right, it's very simple, very simple. We just don't want to go for this, first get everything ready, get your baseline next. What can you do to amplify and refine? It's just like, that's missed in the first draft, whether it's storyboarding, whether it's subject matter expert, whether it's thinking about maybe I need a graphic here, etc. All these things, get second way of information collection and get it done. Finally, you just do the fact checks, visualization, etc. Then you tailor it, consolidate it, bring it all together, right? So there are different versions of optimization that happens here. The second pass, third pass, etc. Totally with AI. But again, when you're using it, use one long chain of chats so that it's much easier for you to go back and verify. So that's the tool. Now, what we have is this. So primarily, in the aiwriter program, yes, while we are looking into that, we were looking at, okay, I have a journalism background. I don't have a journalism background. I want to know about styles and grammar. I want to know about, what are the different ways of starting different things, etc. So we thought we'll add the subjects slightly more consistent and in a much more interesting way. So Masterclass kind of sets the craft is the framework that we'll be using it. Craft is the framework that we'll be using it, but we just want to go on a daily workshop just to say, how can I, now this is how I write in a small group and what can we improve from it? So which means you now create your own version of craft and you go back And that's it. The craft is a general framework, right? How can you customize craft for you? You come in the workshop, you can customize it for your own needs, and that becomes your blueprint that you are going to follow for every single thing. So that's it. We are starting at $95 all the way to $295, maybe $495 for certain geographies, etc. But that's it. One day, and it's all there. And there are nearly 30 workshops that we have created starting July. Hope to see some of you over there. So, and this is what I'm excited about. What it meant is, 25x is a big word, but the reason it's 25x is we were given a project with 120 questions. 120 questions. They originally planned to do that in 6 to 8 weeks with 3 writers. With AI, we did it in 5 days, right? 5 days. So again, and when I did the max, the 25x wasn't 25x. I think it's 10x or 12x, something like that. But my team felt, no, it's 25x. I was like, all right. So primarily during the workshop, this is what we'll do. We'll sit and create 5 content, and within 10 minutes. The craft part of we sit down together, create R, which is the very first response that we are going to create in 10 minutes. Then you're going to optimize the content using the framework 1 to 2 hours each, which means you will have 10 different responses or 5 different responses for each of those questions within like 2 hours. This is what I meant, how fast that you could generate. Again, the use cases, you can bring in your own use case, you can work through that, or we'll give you a use case. It's very, very simple. But if it's just, for different companies, sometimes, we do boot camps for a specific company and stuff, because there are 4 or 5 people, it works that way. So primarily, you or your writers within, try to use it, try to optimize it, and then see how it works, or come to the workshop. In 1 day, we can create something, customize it for you, and how to practically use it. We can take it further. So now, having listened to what you listened so far, whatever the option that you chose, you don't need to write the full word. How do you consider yourself, at least in the immediate future? And not today, but in the immediate future. Are you going to be the same, the curious explorer? Or are you now having the confidence to move yourself from curious explorer to a confident innovator or AI advanced? Or, you know what? I think I'm ready. I'm going to move from there to here. What is your view? 1, 2, 3. Pick option 1 for curious explorer. Pick option 2 for confident innovator. Pick option 3 for empowered visionary. I don't want you to type it. I know it's tiring. Pick 1, 2, 3, just so that I want to see that this masterclass writing has actually inspired you to progress a bit. That's the main thing. It's important. Important to see. Just be honest with yourself, because again, once you say something in public, once you put that statement out, it empowers you to take an action. So the reason for us to create all these things, when people are just talking about whether AI is good or bad, we have already created 50 hours of content, training content, right? So primarily, it's the important thing is, yes, I just want you to make a move and make a statement out. Yeah, that's it. It's all good. Make a journey. Yes, because world is changing. Just to put an outright, I am outside thing. So any questions you can add it, but let me just answer. There is one question from Sumaya. What advice would you offer to leaders who are trying to encourage AI opposed staff to become a little bit more open-minded to its creative possibilities? You are always going to find AI opposed staff. And the very first thing that I would do for them is I will just listen them out. Why? Give me the 5 reasons why you are opposed to AI. If they come out with generic information, which is like, hey, I'm more concerned about privacy, I'm more concerned about confidentiality, then you invite them to our AI data governance workshop, because it's important for them, because most of them take this opinion because they don't know much about it. They just fall for the generic information. So the first thing I would do is, why are you opposed to it? Why did you ban AI? because that's the reason we started AI data governance risk frameworks, because we have to create the blueprint of the AI usage within the company. What's the policy for that? That's what we do, in the AI data governance workshop. So encouraging them, first, we need to listen them out. There could be some genuine concerns, genuine points that something has happened. Because it's genuine. That's step one. Step two is, rather than to outrightly tell them, it's amazing, this is what it helps me to do, you can tell them, hey, ask them. That's what we start with activity inventory, which is like, what are the boring tasks? What are the tasks that you don't really like to do, that you would like to delegate to somebody? Ask them. These are the 4 or 5 things. Now, tell them, okay, now this is a tool. Now you can share that to me. I can find a tool for you. There is enough tools. So now let's use this tool to cut it off. Now you just see whether AI, you are opposing to AI or not. Everybody will have their own self-reflection, self-realization. That's the journey that we are going through, Sumaya. But personally, I would listen them out, understand, what's the pain. Is it generic or is it something specific? And why is it? What's the source of this concern? And then you can take the next steps out. But it's going to be a personal transformation for everybody. Right? Hope that's helpful. But if there is any other questions, let me know. But that's why we have a head of bidding bootcamp. We have a head of bidding bootcamp coming up. So what the reason for that is to cut the clutter like this. If one leader decides, him or her has an opinion about this, and because of that, the entire team is unable to embrace AI, then that person needs to come and learn why others are doing and I'm not doing. But it's going to be a big difference where companies, say Deutsche Bank, yesterday we saw that, right? Deutsche Bank banned AI. JP Morgan Chase, which is in the same field, has created 300 products, financial, pensions, insurance products, investment products using AI. Same sector, one company defensive, other company went on ballistic. So what privacy, what data, what confidentiality, it's like, is it not applicable to them? That's it. But let them stand, let them do it. But at the very end, unfortunately, you can't always help it, just see what you can do. So the 3 masterclasses that we're talking about, this is what you attended today. So this will be available on demand, and it will also be posted in the YouTube. You can watch, rewatch. The graphics design masterclass is next, 28th. And I'm taking it as a personal challenge for me to do graphics and design. And I'm more confident now on graphics, because you can clearly see the slides, right? The fonts will never be consistent in any of my slides. And it's only after the webinar I send it to my designer and he makes it consistent, because for me, it's the content that's more important than the design. But I'm now appreciating what graphics and design does. And we are going to use AI there. And again, it's there for you. You can do it. You can register and do it there, or you can find a live workshop. So if you're also missing that one, and if there is any further questions that you have, the next AMA webinar will be the July the 13th. So you could join us. It started in March the 2nd. We have done 1, 2, 3, 4, and now July the 13th. It just happens. October 12th might not happen. I'll let you know, because my birthday week, so I might be trekking in the Himalayas. So I haven't taken a break, and it's been a hectic year. So that's the month I'll be away. But otherwise, it's there. Live workshop, just go Baachu Scribe live workshop. That's where you're going to find content. So insider training, I know we took a break because of all the stuff that's been happening. We are back now with insider training. So all the Scribble quiz and everything will be back on track. So Michael is coming back for the first session. So again, in live workshops, check insider training. It's a free session. Again, join in June the 30th, which is next week, Friday, around the same time, or 1 hour early. So you can join me there. So a lot of content. Check our YouTube, check our LinkedIn. Go back and check the master classes on demand, and then all the AI workshops are there. Insider training is also there. Otherwise, if you want to accelerate it, we are going to move this. The AI power will now become AI empowered. So the Bidder Bootcamp is a 6-week bootcamp where we look into deeper every 2 weeks. Graphics design, it's a 12-week, it's an 8 to 10-week bootcamp. So it's only one that we are going to do this year because we just want to test all the AI tools with the people, and we just want to see how quickly we can do graphics. Because in some cases, or most cases, you might not have a designer. In this case, how can you design yourself to do it? That's the whole crush point here. Governance risk framework, these questions, it always needs to be tackled. That's what we are going to cover here. Every month, we are going to have 2 on this. The boot camps, every 2 months, we have one. This one, we are only going to do 1. Proposal writer, we are going to do 5 a month for different geographies, for India, Africa, APAC, US, Canada, East Asia, you name it, UK, Europe, every country you'll have a say on this, so that's what we are giving more. Proposal mastery is a 4-day intense. It's a 4-day intense where it's a bit of boot camp, same thing, but 4-day intense. It's not for the faint-hearted. It's very, very tough, but you could get a lot from it, but it will be draining you big time. But either way, that's the live workshop, all there ready from July. 45 sessions, 5 different courses. We are also going to add the head of bidding bootcamp just to cut it, and it's available in all 5 continents. That's it. July, these are the dates. If you are into any of the geography, this is it. The AI Power Bidder is there, July 13th. But then the bidder bootcamp, which is already going at the moment, will finish in July 13th. We have 7 colleagues who are currently doing, and they will finish it. And then the data governance, especially federal government, we know people are looking into that. But again, we are running a special workshop on that just for federal government tenders. What are the concerns and how you could mitigate those concerns of federal contracting? Right? So federal local contracting on that. Proposal mastery intense here. The writer 1-day workshop. We are starting with US and Canada on the July 21st. As you can see here, it's starting with the Pacific time, so Eastern time slightly big. And then we have July and 22nd for India, Middle East together on a Saturday. And then the boot camp starts July the 21st for graphics. So you can look into live workshop. The live workshop, you can click and see monthly, it breaks down all the other stuff. And that's it. If you haven't joined the Baachu Connect, which is our Connect community, that's where all the AI-powered bidders hang on. I welcome you to there. And you could post your success, and you could post, hey, this is what I did. This is what I did it because, recently a person, one of our student, practically shared, she was given an executive summary to write. She used the principles to write it. And suddenly she realized that there is a strategy report that was published by the client whom they're bidding for. She simply went on and then used that link, like in ChatGPT, use this link and this document from this website and rewrite my executive summary. It did it in 60 seconds, incorporating those things. Obviously, it picked up some elements of it. Then she was able to refine and did it, which meant she was able to do an executive summary in few hours, and she was super happy and she shared a success. So there are lots and lots of success. So I just want, just come in and you come back. Obviously, self-care is more important, and AI through self-care is what we are looking at. The Baachu Connect, it's a slow. We have nearly 4,200 people who get our emails, but we might have 40 people in Baachu Connect. So join in and have fun and post yourself. It's a very secure environment, and that's it. So thank you for joining. If there is any questions, let me know on the dot. 4 o'clock UK, we have done 1 hour. We finished it. Any questions? Let me know. I'll be on standby. Otherwise, I'll see you in the graphics masterclass next week, and Michael Garner's insider training next week. And looking forward to welcome you in one of the workshops. Are you ready? That's it. Thank you so much.